Hey, it's Carolina Moore, your favorite sewing and quilting YouTuber, and I am here to show you how to use the Accuquilt GO to cut your English paper piecing shapes with the new Accuquilt GO EPP Qube. It is an entire box set, and I have an unboxing video that shows you how to use this set of 8 dies plus a ton of patterns in there, but really the limit is your imagination and what you can find on Pinterest. It's really no limit at all, right? It has hexagons and diamonds and half hexagons and triangles, and they're all 1-inch size. So I'm going to show you how you can recycle papers, use cardstock, use fabric cuts, and also use scrap fabric to cut your English paper piecing shapes and get your hand sewing on. You ready? Let's get started. Now I wanted to show you how to use the GO Qube. In the pattern book and cutting mat folder was my cutting mat. So I'm pulling that out, and I can tuck this folder into the Qube. That's fun to say. And now I'm going to grab my hexagons. And you can go any shape, but I'm just going to start with these hexagons and set this aside. And you'll see that there are 2, one for the paper and one for the fabric. So I'm going to start off with the paper, and you can use cardstock for this, but you can also use all that junk mail that you get that has like a stiffer weight to it. Those are perfect for English paper piecing, and you'll never look at junk mail the same again, because now you can convert it into a quilting supply. And I love junk that becomes a valuable quilting supply. So I'm just gonna fold my cardstock in half because it'll fit right here on the cube really easily. And I'm just gonna set it on top. Set it on. It'll fit on the die really easily. This is not a cube. Okay. And now I'm going to set my cutting mat on top. And the way that these GO dies work is that there's a steel cutting blade inside this foam. So you don't want to press down on this because you don't want to hurt yourself. But there's a steel cutting blade that's tucked in the foam. Basically between this dark foam and this light foam is a little blade. And when this foam gets pushed down by the rollers here, kind of like a giant fancy pasta roller, a quilting pasta roller, it's going to push this mat down into the foam, which means that those blades are going to be exposed and be able to cut right into my paper. So I'm going to just roll it through, and there are different sizes of the Accuquilt GO machine. The GO Me is smaller, will absolutely work with these dies, and is a little more affordable than this big one. All right, you ready? Here we go. I have all of my papers perfectly cut that quickly. Just boom, done. 6 papers cut. Love it. Okay, so once you have your papers cut, then it's time to cut your fabric. So you can take 6-inch strips of fabric, and here I have 2 layers. And I'll just cut 1 layer for now to show you. And you can just fan fold it. And you'll see that there's an edge here. You can line up your fabric to be parallel with that edge. They actually don't have the edges on these dies go exactly straight up against the rollers because they want it to kind of cut at an angle that makes for a cleaner cut. So you'll notice that when you put fabric on an Accuquilt die, you're usually putting it on at some kind of at least slight angle. There we go. And I like cutting just scraps into 6-inch pieces. Now you'll see my piece isn't perfect, and that means that I'll have a hexagon here that'll only be partial, and I'll just throw that into my scrap bin, or I'll toss it, and I'm totally fine with that.
So like I said, I've got that one partial, no big deal. This one could actually be a good size for a half hexagon just because where it landed, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I can always look at it later. And here are all my pieces. So many, just cut so fast. I love it. Oh, so easy. Okay, so how about we do the same with another shape? Let me go ahead and put the hexagons away. And now we'll play with the half hexagons. There we go. Okay, so I've got my half hexagons. I want to cut some papers. Now what's really cool that Accuquilt did is look, 6 hexagons, 6 papers. Same with the fabric and these papers. There were 3 papers and 3 fabric hexagons. So you know, okay, well if I'm doing 4 layers of fabric, then I need to end up doing 4 layers of paper. I don't end up with like some weird odd number of craziness, although sometimes you'll have leftover pieces and I'll show you how to handle that. Okay, so let me cut this half hexagon here, and I'm just cutting my papers. Now when you're doing this at home, you can absolutely look at ways to be more economical about using this paper so that you're not leaving big parts. Totally up to you. And one tip that I have from having used these dies quite a bit and cutting out all these different papers for the different projects that I made is that these little paper holes, they like to get stuck in my machine and they don't do any damage there, but when I move the machine around the sewing room, I end up leaving myself little sprinkles of confetti, which, I mean, hey, English paper piece and confetti, I'm not mad at it, but to save on cleaning, just set all your little hole punches aside, have a little garbage bin next to you, and just throw them away right away, unless you like, you know, random confetti. Okay, so I have some more fabric here to cut some half hexagons. And here's this cool thing about these half hexagons, is that you'll see that they're directional. So I have this great striped fabric, and instead of having the stripe going horizontal on some and vertical on the others, it is going to go vertical on all of them. Or if I wanted to go horizontal on all of them, I would just fold my fabric the other way. Again, I have a random 6-inch fabric strip, so it is going to get me some bonus half hexagons with this little piece, and it's going to get me some half hexagons that aren't right. Now, I've been cutting on this mat a little bit. I want to make sure that I am flipping and rotating my mat and using different parts of it so I get the most life out of it. And sure enough, I have 2 half hexagons that don't give me quite enough seam allowance. And the rest of my half hexagons are perfect. Now, I wanted to show you how the Accuquilt GO is also great for scrap quilting. So we're going to do that with some of the other dies. Let me get those out and I'll show you how we're going to do that. I know that some of you while watching this video were looking at these pieces and saying, oh, the scrap. Honestly, when you look at this, there is really not that much scrap. And if you wanted to get even less scrap instead of cutting a 6-inch wide, you can probably try getting away with like a 5.5-inch wide strip, and that would give you a whole 1/2 inch less scrap. But really, that is not a lot of scrap. And in exchange for a teeny bit of scrap, you're getting super speed and super accuracy. So I'm all on board with that. But if you are someone who loves to use all your scraps, the Go is perfect for that. And let me show you. So I have these small pineapple scraps left over from a quilt that I did. And I'm just going to lay these right on top here. I'm laying these on top of, yeah, I'll do 3 at a time diamonds. Okay. So I'm just going to lay them over the middle diamonds. And I didn't pre-measure this scrap, it just happens to be big enough to more than cover those diamonds. I'm going to put my mat on top. And I'm going to run it through. And now, from what essentially was just garbage, I have these 1-inch diamond pieces that are just beautifully, perfectly scrappy to use in my projects. And from that strip, I now have, like, really, this is bird's nest barely. Just the tiniest little pieces. So it's great for scraps, and you can even grab like odd shaped scraps. This is a scrap that I have left over from mask making. I have a feeling there might be some other people out there who've done their fair share, and maybe even more than their fair share of mask making. So let's see. Actually, okay. I'm gonna go across there. Just trying to see how I can maximize my use of this scrap. And I've got some hanging over. I'm okay with that. I'll probably be able to use that on a second pass. And I'm doing this with a diamond, but you can do this with any of these shapes. You can say, I want to cut a bajillion hexagons, and go ahead and just cut yourself a bajillion hexagons. It shouldn't take you that long. It's super quick. And look at that. From that scrap, I have all these great diamonds that I can now use. And a little bit of garbage. And now I can take this other strip that I had here, lay it across. I just want to make sure that this other bit doesn't get caught up in anything. I've never had that happen before, but on video would be the first time that that would happen. Let me pull all my garbage out of the way. And here are some more diamonds. So it's that easy to turn scraps into really usable pieces for sewing.
And that's how easy it is to use the Accuquilt GO English Paper Piecing Cube to cut all of your pieces for English paper piecing. It is so fast, you'll be amazed how quickly you are ready to sew. Speaking of sewing, I've got another video coming up that'll show you how we're going to sew all these pieces together. But before you go, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Also, make sure you check the video description. I've got lots of links for you right there. And subscribe to this channel. I have plenty of more videos, including the sewing video for English paper piecing coming up. So you want to subscribe and hit that bell so you're the first to know when I've got a new video for you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.